What's up, everybody? This is the Sports League Podcast. Back for another week. I'm your host, Alex Leak. We got the co-host, Amanda. And Amanda, great to have you on. And we got a special guest this week with the Super Bowl right on deck. We've got head coach Ron Rivera, two-time NFL head coach Ron Rivera. Great to have you on, Coach.
I appreciate it, Alex. It's great to be here with you and Amanda and looking forward to the conversation.
Absolutely.
Us too, yeah. So you have had this great career. We've been following you for, our entire football fandom lives. We heard some fun news came out today. Do you want to share anything with us?
Well, I've been working on something with going back to the University of California in Berkeley. Working with them as far as in their intercollegiate athletics and with football, and also with the university itself. So it's kind of exciting. We're not done. We haven't gotten to where we're ready to sign contracts or anything like that, but we're working that out. So I'm excited just the fact that this has come up.
That's very
Awesome.
trendy of you going back to college. I mean, so all of the top coaches are doing it these days. We got Belichick, Harbaugh went back, won
Yep.
Michigan. I'm a Michigan fan, so
Oh,
you
wow.
know, yeah,
Yeah, I
appreciate
mean,
it.
it's kind of cool, like I say, Coach Belichick made it cool to go back to school, so we're
See?
looking forward to
Yeah.
it.
Do you guys have like a group chat of NFL coaches that have gone back to college?
You know what? That's something we need to get set up at
Yeah,
some point.
absolutely.
So, Coach, you're in New Orleans, getting ready for the Super Bowl, and you won Super Bowl 20 with the Chicago Bears as
Yep.
a player. What was it like playing in that Super Bowl on that team with such a great, legendary Bears team?
Alex, and when we talk about it, we often refer to the first rock and roll Super Bowl. If you go back and look at the personalities we had, I mean, at the time when the NFL was stoic and kind of stuffy, we had the punky QB and Jim McMahon. We had
Yep.
sweetness of Walter Payton and the refrigerator, William Perry. I mean, you go through the personalities that played on that team and how dynamic they were. Mike Ditka was his own personality, as was
Oh
Buddy
yeah.
Payton as well. And so we went there and it was an exciting time. It was a great time. We were a dominant football team that year, and there was no doubt in our mind we were going to win that football game. And I
Yeah.
think as we went through the week, there was a bravado you could feel, and you could feel it build up to the point. And in fact, everybody forgets this. They scored first. We fumbled, they recovered it, but then they went backwards, had to kick a field goal, settle for 3 points, and before you knew it, it was game on as far as we were concerned. And next thing you know, it's 46-10.
Yeah. That's crazy. The blowout win and yeah, kick the Patriots' butt.
So how did you
Um,
guys overcome that first fumble situation? Because I've seen a lot of games, especially this postseason. I mean, Green Bay started out completely fumbling away their first two possessions of their playoff appearances. Like, how do you reset your mind and just ignore the plays that already happened? Like that was a bad start. We know. Let's start from scratch.
I think the thing that helped us more than anything else on that, Amanda, was they went backwards. Okay. They didn't progress the ball into the end zone. They went backwards and had to settle for the field goal. And it was like, okay, that was their first and best shot. Well, game's on for us. And then offensively, we took the ball, scored right away, a touchdown. Next thing you know, we just kept piling it on. And so that was one of the things that you sat there and just knew that this game was headed in the right direction for us, almost within 5 minutes of the game.
Okay.
nice.
It was a quick
Um,
reset, just a little
Yeah,
yeah.
run.
it really was. No, it was a very quick reset. And to your point, I've seen teams that don't recover from turning it over like that. And one turnover becomes two, and next thing you know, it's just an avalanche. Well, for us, it was the inverse. One turnover was the motivator, and then we went after them, and then you could see them giving up sacks, giving up turnovers, and we really just took the game, and just said, "Hey, we're winning," and that was it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, I mean, you
Um,
mentioned turnovers, and we've talked about Cal already. One of my favorite moments this season is Jared Goff throwing five interception in the game and still winning.
Yeah. I mean, it's impressive when you can do that, but it also
Yeah.
shows you your team's ability to bounce back because
yeah.
defense, they had to slow things down, create opportunities for their offense to get back in the game, and they did. It did show you some things, but again, then you go back and look at how they didn't recover from the turnovers in the playoffs against Washington. I mean, that
Yeah.
was surprising that so many things like that happened, and they just didn't bounce back.
Yeah, it seems like the playoffs, it's harder to overcome. You get a couple of turnovers and it snowballs, momentum gets, against you. You played with arguably the best running back in NFL history and Walter Payton. After a couple years of kind of seeing like the disrespect of the running back position, it's great to see Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley bounce back the way they did. Are you excited to see that?
I am because Alex, I think the NFL football is a cyclical game. Okay,
Yeah,
it goes from different fads. It's like everybody wants to spread you out and throw the ball everywhere. Well, then the defense reacts, and they got to get faster and smaller on defense so they can keep up with the fast offense. Well, guess what happens? When they start handing the ball, these little defenders are now getting run over. They're getting trucked. And
yeah.
so I think that's what's happened. You see Baltimore do it. You see Philadelphia do it. And if you go down the list this year, the top 10 rushing teams, 7 of the 10 were in the playoffs. 2 of those that didn't make the playoffs had winning records but didn't qualify. And the
Yeah,
third team, the misnomer was Chuba Hubbard from Carolina, who was I think the number 8 or 9 leading rusher in the league. So it just shows you that running the football is going to be in vogue again next year, and defenses will get bigger. So what will happen is eventually it'll change back to throwing the ball again because the defenses are getting bigger and slower.
yeah,
So
yeah. I love that about the NFL.
coming into this past 2 seasons, like I watched the Lions draft last year and that running duo that they have there, I got the vibes that it was going to change some things. Well, this year you look at the 3 top running backs throughout most of the season. You got Josh Jacobs who found a new home, Saquon Barkley who found a new home. Like it's amazing to me that these 3 guys who led the league most of the season were passed by their previous teams. Like,
Yeah.
ouch, to have to sit in the front office and watch them put up these ridiculous numbers, like you gotta kick yourself a little bit.
They should. They really should because it just shows you that the swing is back to the quality running back. And if you look at like the Saquon thing, the decision was quarterback or running back.
Yeah.
Tough
And they,
choices.
yeah, and they chose the quarterback, and then next thing you know, the quarterback's gone. Saquon
Yeah.
has already left. Having the year that he's having, I mean, it's going to be real hard to explain that when you sit down and try and get people to appreciate and understand what just happened.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah. Tough decisions.
Yes,
So,
and that's one thing that you have to be on when you're sitting down and you're talking about your salary cap, and you're talking about do you or don't you have your franchise quarterback. That's another thing because you make a big commitment financially,
Yeah.
especially to a guy that should be your quarterback. You got to be sure that that guy is the guy because if not, you're saddled with that salary for the next 3 to 5 seasons.
Yeah.
we've seen some crazy quarterback salaries having to be passed off when they're ready to move on from the quarterback a year later. But speaking of this Eagles team and the running back position, so you started your NFL coaching career with Andy Reid, with the Eagles, going to
Mhm.
3 straight NFC Championship games.
That's going with this. I want to see the three-peat. I want to see history. In the modern day NFL, there's not been a three-peat. When it was done last, it was done by the Packers. They had won the World Championship and then won the first 2 Super Bowls. That's the last three-peat, but it's not the modern
I
NFL.
know. It doesn't count. It's so
Yeah, it
annoying as a
doesn't
Packers
count.
fan. They're like, oh, the Chiefs are going to be the first team. Hold up. No. It was just called something else, okay?
Yeah, it was. It really was. It was called the World Championship. So to me, that still counts. And
Thank
so
you.
my argument being this, let's just say modern three
Okay.
compared to
Yeah.
the original three-peat. So again, I'd love to see it just because of Andy. I got so much respect for who he is as a coach. And one of the really neat things is we had a reunion thing about 15 years ago, a group of coaches we went to dinner with Coach Reed and we took this picture. And in the picture, there's like 10 coaches that started with Andy. 8 of those 10 all became NFL head coaches.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a crazy thing. And several of us had gone to the Super Bowl. And at that time, Coach Harbaugh and oh gosh, I'm drawing the blank on his name. He was at Jacksonville last year. Doug Peterson,
Yeah.
other one. So he's had 2 guys that have won Super Bowls, and I think there's 4 of us that have gone to Super Bowls. So he's got a pretty good tree of coaches already.
You guys
Yeah.
all drank the Kool-Aid. I like it.
Yes, we did.
What was it like being hired as a defensive coordinator for the Bears in 2004, going back, coaching where you played and were drafted by?
That was really cool. I not only was I drafted and played for them, but that's where I started my coaching career. I was a quality control coach for the Bears for 2 seasons before Andy
Okay.
hired me as his linebacker coach. But coming back was really a thrill. It was a treat. And then going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
I'm really the only Bear player or coach that could sit there and say he was there for both of them. So
yeah,
I've been to
Cool.
2 Super Bowls with the Bears, and it's a really neat little trivia thing for me. And I just really appreciated that opportunity.
yeah.
So I like the Bears. My closest team growing up, I'm from the southwestern corner of Michigan. Fell in love with Favre when I was little, so I'm a Packers fan. But the closest team geographically is the Bears. So when I would go out to Chicago and stuff, I would occasionally run into Bears players. There's this one story. I was walking down the street and this lovely dressed couple was walking down and I was like, I think that's Lovie Smith. And I made eye contact and then I didn't want to interrupt. It looked like he was out with his lady, having a quiet evening. So I just quietly went like, "Hi, just wanted to say I'm a big fan. Don't want to interrupt." And he goes, "Oh, are you a big Bears fan?" And I had to lie to Lovie Smith because I couldn't explain, like, no, actually, I hope they lose this weekend because they were playing my team. I was like, something like that. And then I just shook his hand and wandered away. So, that Super Bowl where they went and, the way it played out and stuff, it was so funny being a Packers fan in a very Chicago Bears area of fandom. A- Talk to us about that game a little bit. There was a situation where Tony kicked Devin Hester. Like
Yeah.
what?
You
Give us
know,
some insight.
the hard part about that game was, that was the only Super Bowl that's rained.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
And we turned the ball over, unfortunately, way too many times to expect to
It's
win.
slippery.
Yeah,
There's a
yep.
reason.
And that was one of the things that cost us is, we turned it over, unfortunately. And then defensively, once they got a lead, it was tough to stop Peyton Manning. I mean, he was at the height of his career playing for Indianapolis, just spreading the ball all over the place. And it was one of those things that for everything it was, the circumstances just really fell in their favor, especially with the rain and the bad weather. And it led to, unfortunately, us losing. The hard part was they kick off to Devin Hester and he takes the first one back and we're up 7-0, you
Yeah,
know, and you have a chance to win the game. Then we intercept the ball,
yeah.
right off the bat. And again, we missed the opportunity. So it's crazy that initially we had it going and we didn't continue.
Me as a Bears fan, my brothers, friends of mine, we all say if Tommy Harris plays in that game, the Bears win. And that was a huge loss, right? As defensive coordinator.
It was. Anytime you lose a guy that's a dynamic, football player up front, because it guys that are space eaters, guys that create problems in front of linebackers are the linebackers' best friends. Why? Because they're holding two blockers.
Yeah,
And because of that, it allows your guys to roam freely. And not that Brian Urlacher needed a lot of help, but it would have been good to have Tommy in front of him because again, if they're going to let Brian run, he's going to make the plays. And if they're going to try and eliminate Brian, Tommy would make those plays. And that's what happens when you miss a guy like that.
yeah. Huge loss for sure. Go ahead, Amanda.
I was just gonna say, that Urlacher career. Like I had his autograph on my wall next to Brett Favre. Like I felt like I was cheating a little bit, but I mean he was such an amazing player, but you have to have that second, like you've got to have the diversion option. Like and when
Yep.
you're missing number two, like
Yep.
it really sucks. Like we've seen games where Jameer Gibbs doesn't have David Montgomery, so Jameer Gibbs is locked down. Like if it's a 1-2 punch, you need both of them to be there.
You do. And on defense, it's exactly that. If you have a 1-2 punch, in terms of who your defensive front is, you've got a chance to make things happen in a positive fashion. If not, they can really focus on one guy. That was one of the things that was very special for us when I was in Carolina. Got Luke Kuechly running around, and you got Kwan Short in front of him. You got Alua in front of him, a big defensive tackle guy for us. So you have these guys that can make things happen. It allows your linebackers to run.
Nice. And then, what was it like as Panthers head coach with MVP Cam Newton, and you went to the Super Bowl with them as well?
It was spectacular. When you got a player like that of that type of ability, it gives you a chance. This is a quarterback driven league, Alex, and I think what's happened, we're seeing that teams that have these guys, these franchise quarterbacks, are the ones that get the opportunity to go to the Super Bowl and continually go back. And
Hmm.
that's what we've seen. I mean, you've seen it with Tom Brady. You're seeing it now with Patrick Mahomes. Special guys lead to good things.
Yeah, 100.
So tell us real quick. I mean, we're talking about Carolina. There was a Coach of the Year award in there for you, wasn't there? Did
Yeah,
Yeah.
that did
enough.
that season feel different? Like, did you feel like you had earned that award? Like, did you kind of know? Was it a surprise?
It's funny. I won it for my third season when everything came together, and then
Mhm.
we had a good year the next year. It wasn't a great year, but it was a good year in 2014. Then 2015 we have the great year and go to the Super Bowl. But it's funny because 2013 and 2015, I thought I did a really good job. But the best job I thought was 2014. We dealt with a lot of injuries, a lot of crazy things, and yet we still made it to the playoffs. We still won a playoff game in spite of all the injuries and things that we had to deal with. And
Yeah.
that to me is one thing that really sticks out in my mind. So sometimes, man, it is perception is one thing and reality is another. And in my own, like I said, in my own mind, I really thought the 2014 was one of the best coaching jobs I'd ever done individually.
That's
Nice.
interesting to hear, like the inside perspective versus because I mean,
Yeah.
you don't know what was going through your mind as fans. We're like, oh, cool, he won. Not this year. And I'm very opinionated, so I've got my list of Coach of the Year for this year. Like, um, and one of them is the Redskins coach.
Yep.
I think he's done an amazing thing with that team. So you coached the Redskins from what 2020 to 2023. So how is your take on watching this team? I mean, this franchise QB, Jaden Daniels
Yeah.
has been absolutely amazing. Going on a deep playoff run as a rookie. I
Yep.
mean, what is your perspective on this team this year?
When you look at him and look at the way he grew and developed, it just shows you that when you draft the right guy, it can impact your entire organization. And that's what Jaden has done. What made him the right guys? Well, you look at a couple things that's a little bit different. He played 5 seasons of college football. He took advantage of the COVID year, so he had 5 full seasons. He played under 3 different offenses, so it meant he had some diversity in his game. And I think being, at his age, he's what 23, 24 years old. You're talking about a very mature guy coming in and playing in the NFL at such a young part of his career. I mean, his rookie year. So it doesn't surprise me. Secondly, he's so mature beyond his years. You look at a guy that came in, would get into the office between 5:30, 6 o'clock, eat breakfast right away, do his workouts, get himself ready to go and go to work, start working on his craft that early. And I think he set a really good tone for the whole organization. I think this is a guy that not only deserves the NFL Rookie of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year, but he's a guy that I also think should have been in this MVP conversation
Yeah.
because he raised the play of not just the offense or the players around it, but the entire team. You look at the way it impacted the defense as well. When you play with a lead, your defense plays better. When your defense is confident, all we got to do is get the ball back to Jaden. We got a chance to score. That's better.
Yeah.
His
100%.
mentality definitely helped the team out as well. Like when you
Yes.
have that hard working, like the grit of it, I feel like it's very contagious. There was one episode we did with John Abraham this season where one of us said something like, and like Bo Nix acts like he's been here before. Well, that's because he was in college for like 12 years. Like they
Nope.
taking advantage of those COVID years to hone your craft in college
Yeah.
really paid off for these quarterbacks that took advantage of it.
And that's what these young kids don't understand is the more experience you can have in college, the better off you're going to be getting into the NFL. You're going to understand how to learn things better. Guys that, they have these 1 year wonders that get drafted so high, the expectations are so enormous and they're not ready to handle it. Guys that have played 3 years, 4 years, in different systems. They grow, they learn. Everybody I talked about Caleb Williams, and one of the things that I was always concerned with Caleb is he was in the same offense for 3 seasons, right?
Yeah.
Lincoln Riley left, he went with Lincoln Riley, and he stayed in the same offense. So what happens is you learn one thing. Now you go to a new team that has an offense in place that wants you to learn it. You're going to struggle, which he did, and I think that was part of the problem.
Yeah. Great
I
points.
I think
Um,
with NIL and stuff now, it should encourage college players to stay because previously they would get to the NFL so they could start earning money, so they could take care of their families who paid for them to go to college. But now you can earn money while still in college. So
why not
hopefully
stay?
players take advantage of that
Yeah.
and really utilize the option. I mean, the transfer portal, get some experience.
And I think
Yeah.
that's what's going to happen, Amanda. I think you're going to see more and more players opt to stay in because if they go in and they don't get drafted, they're going to sign free agent contracts. They would have made twice the money if they'd
Yeah.
stayed in college. Or if they do get drafted, they get drafted in the fifth, sixth, seventh round, they may not make as much as if they had stayed. So I think that's one thing that could happen is guys are going to look at their opportunity and say, you know what, the longer I stay and develop my game, the better I'll be when I get drafted. I think guys will understand that. Or that if they don't, they should.
Nice. So we got to get to the Super Bowl now, real quick. We got to get you out of here soon. Chiefs Eagles, huge game. The rematch. The Chiefs trying to three-peat, but Saquon Barkley is the ultimate X factor here. How do you see this game going down Sunday night?
Well, I look at it two ways. First of all, I would love to see history. I'd love to see a three-peat, as we talked about
Yeah.
I really would. The modern day NFL three-peat would be really cool. So, and
Mhm.
again, I'd worked for Andy, coach for Coach Reed. I was in Philadelphia. I do have a soft spot for the Eagles, but I'd love to see the three-peat. To me, the
Nice.
game's going to come down to these two factors. I really do think they will. First of all, both teams have very dynamic defenses.
Mhm.
And what you would like to see more so than anything else is, especially when Philadelphia has the ball. If Saquon has 4 explosive runs, he's going to get 100 yards, okay? But if he gets explosive yards where he totals, 20, 25-yard runs, that means that they're being very good up front offensively. They're running the ball, they're controlling the clock, which keeps Patrick Mahomes off the field, and then he explodes on these big runs for touchdowns. That could be detrimental to Kansas City. On the
Yeah.
inverse, if Patrick Mahomes has 4 explosive passes, dynamic plays, that could be bad for Philadelphia. So to me, it's going to come down to those two guys in terms of X factors. I don't disagree with you, Alex. I do think Saquon's the ultimate X factor, but I also think we got to pay attention to Patrick Mahomes because he's done it year in and year out. I would not mind seeing that three-peat though.
Yeah, I'm all eyes for me are on Jalen Carter too. With Joe Tooney moving over that guard matchup with Carter, they're gonna have to double team him, and we'll see. The Tommy Harris factor with Jalen Carter.
Yep,
Um,
you're right. I mean, a defensive tackle can impact the game because the quickest way to the quarterback is straight up the gut.
yeah.
Uh,
We wanted to talk about your salute to service, what you got going on there.
I appreciate it. Well, Salute to Service is sponsored by USAA. They've sponsored it for a number of years, especially Salute to Service Week. And USAA has been supporting it. They have the USA Salute to Service award winner every year. This year's award winner is George Kittle.
Awesome.
Guy that has done a lot of things, supported a lot of things, and I think it's been really cool that tell him I'll call right back. That he's won it because George has been nominated several times, and this is the first time he's gotten through, and just really happy for him.
He's such a
Yeah.
great spokesperson for
Yes.
veterans in the military. My husband's active duty Navy.
Oh,
He
wow.
actually, yeah, he's in and out on his submarine these days. But he'll hit 21 years in April. So I appreciate anyone who supports the service, and I mean the work you guys do for that. Absolutely appreciate it.
No, we appreciate USAA's support on this as well.
Yeah, 100%. Well, we appreciate you, Coach, taking the time to come on the show. It's been an honor. We're huge fans, and best of luck going forward. And we'd love to have you back on sometime.
No, I appreciate it. Yeah, guys, it'd be great to be on again. Thank you for your time.
Thank
Yeah,
you so
have a
much.
great one. Enjoy the Super Bowl, and hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment, and have a great week, guys. Peace out.